Welcome to Sweat Equity, where we dig deep into the grit, hustle, and heart of entrepreneurship. We're talking about what it really takes to start a business, thrive, and conquer the challenges along the way. Join me as I sit down with locals who have turned their dreams into reality and uncover the lessons we can all learn from their journeys. All right. I think it works,
Yeah.
right? That's pretty good, right?
We can
I'm ready. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sweat Equity. We're doing our next podcast here. We have Sarah DeLuca. Sarah, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Richard. I'm so happy to be here.
Okay, so let's just dive right in. And who is Sarah and what are you doing? She's doing a lot, so it's going to be a fun little episode. Yeah, start from that.
I think, I do a lot. I'm very similar to you in that way of like, there always is something going on. I am from Vancouver, born and raised. I'm a strength coach. So I work just down the street at the firm, but I have a very exciting little move that I'm doing very soon. I am a kinesiologist and
It's one thing.
kinesiologist. I recently graduated. I am a yoga teacher. I work with seniors and I work with different people of a variety of genders. I do a lot.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your company, your business, and there's a lot of things going on with growth with you. So I really want to share that because I've known you for a little bit.
Yeah.
And you're also now working at our gym,
I am.
running some classes as well for your people. So that's pretty exciting as well.
It is. But so basically with my business, I try and make sure that,
What's it called?
Sweatworking Collective.
What Working Flex?
So with my business, we're a collective. So I really cherish community, especially in a place like Vancouver where people feel like it's hard to meet other people. And then with me, I also really try and make strength training and going to a gym as accessible for people as possible because it can be scary.
Totally.
And coming from the CrossFit world, like walking into a gym for the very first time for a lot of people is already daunting.
Yeah.
So I try and make that experience as fun, easy, welcoming as possible.
I think the way you approach it is also similar to how I approach my gym business as well. Because same thing, CrossFit or weightlifting, it's very intimidating for just anyone on the street to come in, right? So you want to make that space as not intimidating as possible, right? So then people can give it a try because I know that if they can get into a community and do what we love, they're going to love it too. But it's just breaking that.
Breaking that and making the barrier to entry as low.
Yes, exactly.
So one of the things that I've started doing in the past year is a program called Learn to Lift. And now the follow-on program to that, which is our lifting club, is being held at Dynasty, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And so basically in Learn to Lift, we go over the basics, the fundamentals of strength training. So we do what is a squat, what is a deadlift, what is a bench press. And then we also do upper body pulling. And so we go over form, we take a full workshop to go over every single movement so that people have the time to ask questions, so that they can feel in their own body what it's supposed to feel like. And so that they can see like, how do I modify this? And so I think that's a really huge thing because people see one exercise and they're like, oh, I might not be able to do that. But when you see that exercise broken down into 12 different ways of performing it, like a goblet squat, a barbell back squat, a body weight squat,
Progression.
squat, right? You're progressing that gradually until you find one of them that's accessible for you, but also challenging enough for you that you're doing something.
I love that.
So
actually, I love that I didn't know that each class you did like one thing because that's really good because a lot of the times when just say a regular person goes into a regular gym, they see people doing stuff, but they don't know. And they're just maybe imitating. And that's how people can get hurt.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're making a space where it's inclusive for people that can just learn properly and in a very casual environment. Right.
Yeah.
And then it gives them a confidence to be able to build onto that. So that's why I like actually your progression of your classes. And then hopefully they can go into a more advanced environment and do the movements.
And it gives them the ability to kind of see, okay, I know I can do this. I've practiced every single one of these types of squats. And then you're going into, say, a CrossFit class or a beginner strength training class. But at the end of Learn to Lift, we put everything that we've done together so they know how to put things together. They know what doing an RPE, so a rate of perceived exertion, feels like. They know how to put two push exercises together or how to superset things. So it's a really cool, educational, but also really fun program.
So let's wind it back a little bit. How did you get started in all this? Right, like right now, what you're doing now, which is great. There's more actually to come.
Yeah.
But before I want to go, how did you get started, and where did this all come?
Well, I was a very, very active kid. I was super, super, super active with undiagnosed ADHD.
We both have that.
All right. And I was always in sports, but I was always terrible at the sport, but I loved the training component. And so my soccer coach, who I was with for like 12 years, like I played.
Well, you're Brazilian, so you have to click.
Exactly. So my dad was always on the sideline going kind of like, I scored on my own net all the time. It was terrible, but I loved my team. And so what I really liked was the training element of it. So I used to have my friends come over and we would work out in our basement.
You did?
And
how old were you?
Oh, like 12? Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I had every single exercise DVD under the sun. Wow. Turbo Jam, P90X, Hip Hop Abs. Like I would go onto the
So you're always like wanted to train.
Always. And then I got my group fitness certification, but I actually failed the test because you had to choreograph to music. And while I love dancing, I can't keep a beat.
You have 2 left feet.
And so when it was like, okay, now step aerobics, like up, down, to the side, I failed. So I was like, shit, well, what am I supposed to do? All I want to be is an aerobics teacher. Then fast forward a little bit more, I started going to school for kinesiology and exercise physiology. And then I fell in love with yoga because it was a moment for me to kind of be still and focus on my breathing and feel how movement could really help me. And I went through like a long period of time where I had a really bad eating disorder. So yoga was like my savior, basically.
Mentally.
Yeah, mentally. Okay. And I wanted to learn more about that.
Yeah.
So I took a break from university for a while and then dove right into yoga. And these feelings that I was getting were so intense. And I was like, why? Why is the breathing helping me this way?
Yeah.
Why are these movements helping me this way? So I kind of went back to exercise physiology to understand more about.
Because you were questioning.
Yeah, how does movement actually help
make you feel better?
And like, why is it doing this? And so it was really cool learning a little bit more about the brain and our lungs and our nervous system, and then relating it back to this thing that I was doing. And that was amazing. And then I was in this terrible relationship and I kind of needed an outlet. And I started teaching yoga at a gym. And the guys at the gym were like, how about we trade you your services and you get strength training? And I was like, dope, that's great. Why not? And so I started strength training and they were small group classes and I met some of my best friends there and I started getting really strong. And I was like, oh, this is dope.
Yeah.
And so
like I'm getting muscle.
Yeah. And like my practice was getting better. I was just like more confident. I used to have these back spasms that would like cripple me for days and like I wouldn't be able to get out of bed. And they left. I just got stronger.
So
body could hold me up.
So it's funny because what you're saying is what they always say about working out, right? Better for your mental health, right? It makes your body feel better, right? And you can just get out some aggression, like in a good way.
In a
great.
And then I was surrounded by people who were experiencing that same thing, very similar to a CrossFit environment. Yeah. Everyone's going through this like really grueling workout, but then the camaraderie.
When you come out the other side,
it's like, we survived.
Well, and you can make great friends out of it. So like 4 things that like help anyone in their life.
When they get into movement. And I think it's so valuable to find that. And then as a female, feeling like I was so strong for the first time in my life was the greatest feeling in the world. So.
And is that how did you transition from like, you were just doing yoga because you're helping your mental health and then you started doing strength training? How did it transition into starting your business?
So I had moved back. So I was teaching yoga for like 10 years and then still kind of helping a few of my friends with strength training, but like on a very casual level. Did my degree, the first 2 years of my degree were in Australia and it was in clinical exercise physiology. And I was also doing a personal training, strength training, and group training certification because there's almost like a college diploma.
Different, obviously. It's different.
Yeah, slightly different than here. And so then I finished that and then the pandemic happened.
Oh, yeah.
And
How
so
was that?
I moved back and I was teaching a lot online, but still I was teaching Australian class times in Canada,
Oh, what's the time difference?
17 hours, I think.
So what
So
time would you
like
have to like,
it's -6 or 7, but tomorrow.
okay, so what time would you have to be at to do your class?
So sometimes I'd have to be up super, super, super early in the morning, like 3 o'clock in the morning or something. And then I would go to sleep. And then sometimes
Nice.
my classes were at nighttime
Oh,
and it
boy.
would be like an afternoon class. And so that just got exhausting.
Yeah.
And I had finished my certification and there was only like 5 people in my bubble, one of them being my best friend.
Yeah.
So we started working out every day again for like mental.
Yeah.
We would cry about how terrible the world was. And then we would work out, we'd feel better. And then she was really motivating in the sense of like, you could do this. And Bianca Hundel, shout out to you because she was the reason why one of the reasons why I stayed here in
Okay.
Canada and didn't go back
Oh,
because I saw that I could do this here. And so I started doing events when COVID opened
okay.
because I felt like I didn't have any connections
Okay.
to Vancouver. I hadn't lived here for 13 years.
Yeah.
So I started running fitness events. One of them was at Dynasty.
Yes.
And that's how we met.
Yes.
And basically it was the whole motto that I still run my business by of like, we sweat, we connect, and we learn. So we would go to different gyms or studios in Vancouver after the pandemic. So everyone was kind of needing people to go in. We would highlight the classes that were held there. We would move together as a group. Then we would just get to know each other.
Yeah.
And so it was always for self-identifying women, trans, and gender non-binary folk, because this is the demographic of people who typically drop out of sport fast or first.
Or like find it hard to get into a gym environment,
hard
right?
to get into a gym.
For sure.
Or find training spaces intimidating. So we tried to make that process as easy as possible for them. And then at the end of that, we'd have somebody leading an education seminar. So at Dynasty, we had Ashley do
Busy.
all of the physical
That's right.
benefits of exercise. So it was like how to hack happiness in movement,
People love hacking now,
right?
right? No one wants to put in the work, but little hacking is okay.
A little hacking with like heavy lifting.
So that was how started it.
Yeah.
And then you started doing personal training.
Yeah. And then I was working at Rain City, and that was really close to my house. And I met a lot of great people there. And then I found out about the firm, which is where I'm currently working. And it's like the best community. It's amazing. So I started growing my business there. And then when I started running these Learn to Lift classes, I didn't realize how big the need was for them. And they just blew up.
Well, that's great.
Great.
So how long so that's what?
That's
how long?
pandemic until 2024.
Okay. So now moving on to the next part, you have some big news as well, right? So let's share it with everybody.
So as you might know, my business with Learn to Lift has started to really grow. And so we're taking the next big step. So instead of having these classes all over the place, we found a little home for Sweatworking Collective.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's in Vancouver. It is on Broadway, and it's going to open in April.
That's really soon.
Super soon.
So congratulations to you on that. And
Thank
that's
you.
big because I've seen you do it for a long time. And there's a lot of milestones as well, right? Like you've done so much. Not only that, you bought a place, you're growing your business, and now you're taking the next big leap and having your own space, which comes with all the other things that come with that.
All the other
But, from my experience, like you have to take calculated risk if you want to do more of what you want to do, right? Because you can only service so many clients or your friends with the space or your capacity, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I know you've been navigating that. We've been having discussions about that,
down.
trying to just have how to help out and scale a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
It's wild that it's happening, and it feels like it just fell into my lap, and I'm super grateful for it. It's just like the next big, scary, but also awesome step.
I think you're real. But yes, you definitely got to just take that leap, right? Or else you're not going to go anywhere, right?
And you're not going to know, right?
And this is why I wanted to start this podcast, is basically like entrepreneurs just talking about their stories and how they got started and just some things that how they made the next step, fears, goals, right? Of course, everyone's scared to fail, right?
Exactly.
Because you have a lease you got to pay for now. You have equipment you need to buy, right? You have bills you have to pay, right?
Exactly.
But if you want to do better for more people, you're going to have to take those shots, right?
And it's taking those risks and going, your mind kind of goes like, well, what if this happens? Or what if this happens? But then we never think about like, well, what if this succeeds?
That's right.
What if this is the best thing I could possibly do for myself? What if this is the best thing I could possibly do for my community? And what does that feel like? Because it automatically switches the anxiety into a feeling of excitement. And like, I've been like this about this whole thing, but when I can turn around and kind of say, this is the next step.
Yeah.
This is the obvious next step, and I can do it. And that feels great.
I can't wait for the grand opening.
Oh, me too. Yeah, we're painting this week, which will be exciting.
Then you're doing flooring and then getting
Flooring, all the equipment. And I am like a super spender sometimes. So feeling like I'm going on a shopping spree for all the equipment I've ever wanted is really nice.
Marketplace. Marketplace. Good deals.
Yeah.
So, okay, so that's next. Anything else you would like to share, because you shared what you do and what your community is and how you grow in your community, and now you're taking the next step. What about some bigger goals you have or some fears that, that stopped you from doing things in the past, and maybe help others understand so that they can take that leap of faith, right?
I think trust in myself has always been a really big, scary thing. I don't know where that distrust comes from, but I've struggled with a few really big decisions in my life. And when I look back on them, even though it took a really long time to make those decisions, at the end of the day, when I made them, everything was okay. So, and actually wonderful. So I think being able to trust yourself and your ability and take time to learn. Like, I've spoken to, I don't know how many gym owners in the past few months. I've learned about what they experienced, how I can be different. And then also like, what were their challenges? And you can't go into this kind of thing with rose-colored glasses because it's not real, right?
Well, just fail. Not that we want everyone to fail, but
you have to be calculated.
That's right.
And thank goodness for my partner, because Adam just is the master calculator, right? Like he's gone through everything with this. And he's like, Sarah, you can't fail. So I would say for anyone who's, shy of their choices or struggles with indecision, think about what the decision is, weigh out the pros and cons, see what your barriers are. And then from there, ask yourself, do you believe in your ability? Because if you do believe in your ability, wonderful. Yeah. Is there something to back up your ability? Because sometimes I can be really confident in things and I'm actually terrible. I love dancing, but am I going to ever get paid to dance? Absolutely not. Is there evidence to back up your ability? Yeah. Great. And then try and see, is there the smallest possible step you can take to test that risk? And that's what we're doing with this step.
I agree with you as well. Even though it is a bigger step. Yeah, definitely. I think taking little bites, and then obviously you got to just see how many bites you can get. And if you get enough bites, you're like, a lot of the stuff's already been mitigated.
Yeah.
So you just got to take that full plunge into that next level or whatever you need.
Exactly. And so I think that's a huge thing. And then when it comes to things that are coming in the future, business related, we're just trying to get to this next step and then see what.
Yeah. It's exciting. I remember when we opened up the first and the second gym, it's obviously fearful, but sometimes you don't have time to be scared because you just got to work.
Exactly.
And that's how I always approach it. So it's funny whenever I talk to people and how they approach their making their decisions. So here's my approach. It's a little different. My approach is always like this. I think if I don't do it, what will that look like and how will I regret it?
Yeah.
So I approach it like that. It's I think I'm confident in myself, but I go, if I don't try and see if I can make it or not, I'll always ask that question ooh, could I have done that? And for me, that's worse than failing. No one wants to fail. I don't want to fail. But, in the long run, sometimes failure is good. Not saying that we want to fail, but you never know till it happens and something else can come out of it. I approach it instead of being scared, it's I can't because I need to know what's on the other side. Well, that's me.
I also feel like I would be a hypocrite if I didn't put myself in the beginner shoes now and again, because I focus so much on teaching beginners. I always taught beginners yoga. I love teaching beginners strength training. And if I can't put myself in that uncomfortable situation, then who am I to do that?
But so they always like that saying, you know, where you're uncomfortable is where you grow. And it's so cliche. And it sucks, but it is true, right? Because what was new and hard will become easy. And then it's the next thing. But you do have to take that step and make yourself feel uncomfortable, which a lot of people don't like feeling uncomfortable, which of course, who doesn't want to just sit at home and watch TV and then everything is great? But that's not how you get
reality.
That's not reality, right?
And I think that's a really good thing to make sure that you always learn is like, I always say comfortably uncomfortable. Because we don't want to go to a place where we're painting ourselves.
Yeah.
Right?
And you're paralyzed.
Yeah. But we want to be able to go, okay, can I sit in this? Yoga taught me how to sit in discomfort. Doing some of those positions aren't comfortable. Some of the breathing exercises are not comfortable. However, if you can teach yourself to sit in it, then what can you teach yourself in the gym? And then it's really cool. Like here I am nerding out on science, but there's a great study that shows people who do a VO2 max test before doing the scariest thing for most people, which is public speaking.
Oh, interesting.
Which is public speaking. Their cortisol levels peaked and then dropped. Right? People who went straight into public speaking and didn't do that really uncomfortable thing, because the VO2 max test sucks, go in, their cortisol level peaks, and then it stays high. So if you can teach yourself to be uncomfortable in safe and controlled spaces, then you can be uncomfortable when it comes to real life situations.
And you'll feel better.
And you will feel better. You will recover faster.
Work out. That's
this is why you exercise.
As a part of your lifestyle.
Exactly.
That's the biggest thing.
That's the thing, is don't do it for 6 weeks and then think that everything is going to change. Do a little bit.
That's right. That's what I always say too. It's like, it's better to just keep going, even if it's crappy workout, than to stop and then like come back, because it's way harder. Like, yeah, I've always said that.
And like, we just need to find good ways for you to move in a variety of ways every single day. And I'm not saying you have to exercise 10 out of 10 out of every day, but move every day and move in a way that you can and move in a way that you enjoy, because that way you'll do that more.
Well said. Okay, this last part of the podcast, it's just a quick few questions, rapid fire questions.
Okay.
And you're just going to answer. How do you take your coffee?
I take it with milk and a little bit of honey.
Favorite workout movement?
Favorite thruster.
What's your favorite workout song?
Oh, Sierra. No, 7-Eleven by Beyonce.
Okay.
Yeah.
Favorite sport?
Triathlon.
Hot or cold?
Hot.
That was that one. Brazilian. I knew that one. Final words of advice to anyone watching, taking this next journey about working out or just diving into the unknown?
I would say try it, dip your toes in at least, because you're never going to know unless you try, right? And if there's one thing, try and find one way of moving that you enjoy, that you can do every day. For me, it's dancing in my kitchen.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like to lift weights. I just keep it like that. Well, Thank you everyone for tuning into our next episode of Sweat Equity. Thank you, Sarah, for joining me, and congratulations on the next big moves, and looking forward to seeing what bigger things you can build. I'm
so excited. Thank you for having me, and thank you for listening.
Where can we find you?
You can find me on socials. My Instagram is Sarah_DeLuca, or you can find the Sweatworking Collective as Sweatworking_YVR. And then you can find me at my new gym.
That's right.
Oaken Broadway. Opening in April. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I look forward to seeing it and more big things to come from you.
Thanks for having me.
Perfect. That was great.
That was really fun.
That was really good.